Gallo from the Ministry of Constitutional Affairs. Welcome to the Houses of Parliament. I'm sure you're here to support your minister who will speak today. Call of the roll. Our Permanent Secretary. Welcome to the Houses. Mr. Robinson. Pleasure. Call of the roll.
Mr. Clark, present. Mr. Bartlett, Dr. Holness, Dr. Chang, Mrs. Williams, Ms. Grange, Mr. Mackenzie, Mr. Chuck, present. Mr. Vaz, Dr. Tufton, Mrs. Malahoo Fort, Mr. Green, Mr. Charles Jr., Mr. Matthew Samuda, Mr. Morgan, Mrs. Cuthbert Flynn, Mr. Main, Mr. Davis, Mr. Terlong, Mr. Hutchinson, Mr. Witter, Dr. Dunn, Mr. Brown, Dr. Brown Burke, Dr. Charles, Mr. Chin, Mr. Cousins, Ms. Crawford, Ms. Daly, Mrs. Dalrymple Philibert, Ms. Davis, Mr. Golden, Mr. Graham, Dr. Guy, Ms. Hamilton, Ms. Hannah, Mr. Enriquez, Mr. Henry, Mr. Hilton, Mr. Jackson, Mr. Lawrence, Ms. Lee, Mr. Miller, Mr. Montague, Ms. Morrison, Mrs. Nita Garvey, Mr. Paulwell, Mr. Phillips, Dr. Phillips, Mr. Robertson, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Carl Samuda, Mr. Shaw, Mr. Sibley's, Mr. Slowly, Mr. Smith, Mrs. Vaz, Mr. Warmington, Dr. Wheatley, Mr. Williams, Mr. Wilson, and Mr. Wright. Thank you.
Thank you. House Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'd like to join you in welcoming members to the sitting of the House today, and particularly to welcome visitors in our gallery from the Ministry of Legal Affairs and Constitutional Reform, as well as the members from the almost great constituency of West Central St. James. They sit beside a great constituency, and that's why I said almost. Welcome to them all today. Madam Speaker, in keeping with the traditions of the sectoral debate, we will move for the suspension of the agenda in its formal sense, and to allow for the members to make their presentation on the matter of public business. So it is my request, Madam Speaker, that the agenda be suspended to allow for public business to be taken at this time, so as to facilitate the presentation of the Minister of Legal Affairs and Constitutional Reform in the first instance, and the member from St. Andrew Weston thereafter. May it please you, Madam Speaker.
We will suspend the members. The question is that we suspend the agenda and move directly to the...
Hello, Max. What can I do for you? Weather report, stock prices, shopping list? Lights on, lights off?
Public business. House Leader.
So, Madam Speaker, I invite you to ask the member from St. James West Central and Minister of Legal Affairs and Constitutional Reform, the Honorable Marlene Mallow Ford, to make her presentation at this time.
Thank you, House Leader. Members, please make welcome the Minister of Legal Affairs, Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs, the Member of Parliament for St. James St. James West Central. Members,
Madam Speaker, these 2025 sectoral debates are the last one for the life of this Parliament, as general elections are constitutionally due before the end of the calendar year. As I prepared for this presentation, I found myself in deeper than usual reflection, which compels me to share a little more than I have previously shared publicly about my background. Growing up, I was the child who spoke up when no one else would.
Cousins, you mesmerized already.
When the truth was on the line, I stood my ground, even at a cost. I was always deeply disturbed when people shrugged off small lies and pretended to believe something they knew was not true. My passion for truth is not a flaw. And Madam Speaker, it is not because I am self-righteous. It is because I believe God planted His standard of truth in me from an early age and has always been leading me, teaching me, molding my heart to reflect His own. As a child, I had a sense of purpose that people said set me apart from other children. I could not quite define it back then, though I felt there was something unique I was meant to accomplish. From I came to my senses, I knew my life held meaning beyond the daily living in the small district of Paul Island, where the House Leader and I are from, in the constituency of Westmoreland Western. Although I couldn't quite define it back then, I found myself drawn to activities that reflected my inner drive, as if my soul knew there was a calling waiting to be fulfilled. When other children went with the flow, I always felt there was more to life than what was visible on the surface. Whether in school or at play, I was instinctively drawn to roles which had a positive impact, helping others. My inner purpose was never about popularity or recognition. As I grew older, this sense of purpose intensified. It began as a quiet feeling in the background, but as I grew, it felt more pressing, urging me to pay attention. This purpose was not always clear or easy to understand. Despite any confusion or doubt, this feeling never fully left me. Instead, it remained a steady companion, guiding my choices and reminding me that there was a reason for everything I experienced. Looking back, Madam Speaker, I realize how this sense of purpose influenced my path and shaped who I am today. It wasn't a childhood whim. It was a deep-seated calling that only became stronger over time. This inner knowing, this mission, was a sign that I have always been connected to a higher purpose, even before I had words to describe it. I just wonder, have you ever had a picture in your mind of how something was supposed to go? You prayed, you believed, and then when the answer came, it looked nothing like you imagined. When we pray, Madam Speaker, we better know that God has already warned us through His holy word that His thoughts are not our thoughts and His ways are not our ways. It is a declaration of divine difference because heaven operates on a completely different plane. He sees the whole picture while we only hold a piece. Madam Speaker, I was considered a rising star within the judicial legal group on ascendancy to the higher judiciary when I received and accepted former Prime Minister Bruce Golding's invitation to join his administration to help him do the work he was elected to do. Although I knew it was a calling that brought me here, for a long time, I have second-guessed the choice I made. Too often, I've been told that I don't belong here. And more often, I have felt so out of place. I've experienced such intense confusion, which forced me to just lay down my expectations and simply trust that what unfolds in front of me is meant to teach me something that I could not otherwise learn. Madam Speaker, I do not know what eyes those listening to me look through. I know that I look not only through my natural eyes, but also through the eyes of faith. I believe that when what needs to be done meets what you want to do, there lies the will of God. Madam Speaker, in less than 3 months, I will be in my 30th year in government.
Oh, really?
And will also complete 16 years in the legislature.
Back 22.
Over these almost 3 decades, I've had broad exposure while performing executive, legislative, and judicial functions in service to my fellow citizens. This exposure has enabled me to hone highly specialized skills in public administration, from the in-depth knowledge and practical experience I have gained about the inner workings of the 3 branches of government. Madam Speaker, it is therefore with fresh boldness that I rise and participate in these debates for the 10th consecutive year. This is the 4th time as Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs. The other 6 times, I was in the role of Attorney General of Jamaica. Madam Speaker, I remain grateful to the Prime Minister for entrusting me with this role and the historic work that comes with it. I know that ministerial assignments are sometimes difficult to make, but when God works, He works in mysterious and some say mischievous ways. The Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs was established a little over 3.5 years ago and given one of the most difficult tasks to be undertaken in independent Jamaica. The small portfolio of assigned subject matters and departments is more than what meets the eyes, because it cross-cuts all of government in the places where we have been most challenged as a nation. Keeping government legal is no easy feat. Madam Speaker, I had to make sense of the assignment, as reforming government is also no easy feat. In fact, even more difficult is keeping government legal when so many who administer government do not know the extent of their powers, or they believe that they have more powers than they actually have. I began this ministerial assignment with one understanding and discovered something completely different along the way. Madam Speaker, as an administration, we have been pursuing long outstanding reforms to make the machinery of government more responsive and more responsible to the people. So far, we have made good progress in critical areas, but the work remains in progress on so many important matters. As we reimagine a different kind of governance, which places the people at the heart of what we do, the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs has made steady progress building out our piece of the machinery of government. We have been exploring new technologies, adopting innovative approaches to engaging the people and educating them on the legal and constitutional reform program. We have been streamlining processes and fostering a culture of continuous improvement, not just reacting to issues, but proactively taking steps to reshape the legal and constitutional landscape. My time as Attorney General was undoubtedly the preparation ground I walked on, as the insights I gained from that office now shed light on the most difficult areas of my current assignment. Madam Speaker, I'm extremely proud of the achievements of my ministry over the short 3.5 years since it was established. During the reporting period, we copped the top award for excellence in strategic and operational planning in the public sector, all of government. This was not achieved by chance, but as a result of deliberate and thoughtful action. It was very difficult to build out a machinery and a ministry at the same time as we were preparing for the start of the journey on this leg of the road to republic. We have had to pivot many times, but always been meticulous and deliberate in planning and executing to achieve the desired outcomes. Madam Speaker, I will now turn to my report on the work done by the ministry during the reporting period of April 1, 2024 to March 31, 2025. Madam Speaker, the portfolio subject matter of legal education has traditionally focused on matters related to the regional agreement establishing the Council of Legal Education, and in particular the provision of subventions to the Norman Manley Law School, located on the Mona campus of the University of the West Indies. For the reporting period, the academic year 2023 to 2024 for the school, a total of 478 students were enrolled in the Certificate of Legal Education program. 262 students registered for year 1, 216 registered for year 2. 3 year 2 students withdrew from the program. Among the 262 year 1 students, 45 repeated the year, and of the 216 year 2 students, 71 repeated the year. Of that number, 29 repeated one subject only, while 2 students sat examinations only. During the May and August evaluation periods, 73% of year 1 students successfully passed their examinations, while an outstanding 97% pass rate was achieved by year 2 students. The examination data for the 3 years since 2022, however, reflect a declining pass rate in most subjects. Notably, there was a significant decline in the pass rate in the year 2 subject Ethics, Rights and Responsibilities of the Legal Profession. The pass rate moved from 92% in 2022 to 71 in 2023 and 74 at the end of the August supplementary exams in 2024. The year 1 subject, Landlord and Tenant, has also had high failure rates over time. I'm wondering how many Norman Manley Law School students are in this house. On the co-curricular front, the students participated in the American Caribbean Legal Initiative and moot clinics, the CCJ and Margaret Ford mooting competitions, the Lex Caribbean interviewing competition, and the Philip C. Jessup local and international competitions. While the teams did not emerge winners in all the competitions, the students expressed that they felt an overall deep sense of pride. Valuable lessons were learned about perseverance, discipline, and hard work. The CCJ mooting team did win the Social Media Spirit Prize for Best Social Media Presence for the 2nd successive year. Madam Speaker, the students engaged in several outreach activities. I wish to highlight that the Human Rights Committee focused on gender, health, and youth-related concerns throughout the year and worked with several key governmental and international stakeholders, including the United Nations Population Fund, the United Nations Development Programme, the United Nations Women's Atlantic Council, and the Government of Jamaica. The chair of the committee, Madam Speaker, young Christina Sandy Williams, was the recipient of the highest honor a young person may receive globally for social action. That is the Legacy Award given in memoriam of Princess Diana and her humanitarian work. Ms. Williams also received an award from the Magna Carta Observatory for her essay on the topic, "How might students exercise more influence in enabling their universities to make a more effective contribution to society?" She was invited to present and discuss it at the Magna Carta Anniversary Conference held in Poland in October 2024. The report from the Director of Legal Aid Clinic notes the growth of specialist clinics, continued exposure of Year 1 students to the clinic, and governance issues related to developing policies and programs. Madam Speaker, the library includes e-books, the use of a software application, Talk2, employing artificial intelligence in the virtual reference services, and the ongoing project to digitize legislation. There was an increase in staff turnover during the period. Exit interviews revealed among administrative staff the offer of a higher salary elsewhere was the main reason for leaving. The report of the Quarterly Assurance Unit highlighted, among other things, the need for the law school to monitor and evaluate activities to ensure they are having consequential impact on students' outcome. Madam Speaker, the school also engaged in its 50th anniversary celebrations, which included a Golden Edition retirement and Christmas function. I ask that you join me in thanking Principal O. Carol Einer, Commander of the Order of Distinction, now on pre-retirement leave, for 28 years of devoted service to the Norman Manley Law School and the Council of Legal Education. 12 of those 28 years were served as principal of the school. We wish her well in retirement, and I look forward to welcoming her successor in the office of principal. Madam Speaker, I recognize that the need for legal education transcends the training of attorneys at law. After all, good public administration requires a well-equipped cadre of public servants. The values of responsible citizenship must be carefully and deliberately cultivated and imparted. It therefore gives me great pleasure to report that today the Legal Education Division of the Ministry is implementing a robust public legal education program on the Constitution and laws of Jamaica, to include intra-government training and sensitization. Madam Speaker, during the reporting period of April 1, 2024 to March 31, 2025, the division engaged approximately 11,400 people through sessions with approximately 52 entities across ministries, departments, and agencies, the private sector, civil society, churches, clubs, high schools, and vulnerable groups. The sessions included webinars, face-to-face meetings, online meetings, and more recently, town hopping to reach a wider cross-section of Jamaicans. In collaboration with the Ministry of Education, Youth, Skills, and Information, in all of its 7 regions, an island-wide school tour was launched. Generally, the goal of the school tour is to increase awareness and knowledge among the youths on the Constitution of Jamaica and the proposed amendments to it. We have successfully executed tours where just under 1,500 students participated actively across the 5 regions. Madam Speaker, the Town Hopping Community Initiative is a novel strategy which has members of the legal education team going into the nooks and crannies of Jamaica, meeting with the people in the streets, at the marketplaces, at police stations, engaging them on the work to reform the Constitution. We are, Madam Speaker, reducing the distance between officialdom and the average man in the street, the average man, woman, boy, and girl, as we pursue real reforms for real results. I now turn to the subject matter of human rights. Madam Speaker, it is useful to remind everyone that the Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedom sets out at Chapter 3 of the Constitution of Jamaica a suite of rights and freedoms guaranteed to all Jamaicans, all persons in Jamaica, and all citizens of Jamaica. And these rights and freedoms are guaranteed in a responsibility framework, and to the extent that the enjoyment of your right or freedom does not hinder the enjoyment of another person's right or freedom. Jamaica's fourth review under the Universal Periodic Review Mechanism of the United Nations will take place during the 50th session of the UPR Working Group on November 11 this year. The Universal Periodic Review is a unique mechanism of the Human Rights Council that calls for each United Nations member state to undergo a peer review of its human rights records every 4.5 years. The UPR is designed to prompt, support, and expand the promotion and protection of human rights in every country. It was established in March 2006 by the United Nations General Assembly in Resolution 6251, which mandates the Council to undertake a universal periodic review based on objective and reliable information of the fulfillment of each state of its human rights obligations and commitments in a manner which ensures universality of coverage and equal treatment with respect to all states. Madam Speaker, the ultimate goal of the UPR is the improvement of the human rights situation in every country, with significant consequences for people around the globe. The state has a primary responsibility to implement the recommendations contained in the final outcomes. The UPR ensures that all countries are accountable for progress or failure in implementing these recommendations. The Human Rights team at the Ministry is now working earnestly to meet the deadline for submission of Jamaica's country report. The team is also working on the report under the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, and the draft is now about 80% complete. Madam Speaker, we are reporting progress on the work to educate Jamaicans about their rights and responsibilities. Several sensitization and engagement sessions have been held at high schools, and high schools where the students are eager, where they are responsive, where they are enthusiastic. We have also been at the Legal Aid Council Justice Fairs conducted by the Ministry of Justice and engaged in other outreach activities. We partnered with CVM Television to execute a nationwide high school tour. The Ministry also partnered with the Jamaica Association for Debating and Empowerment Limited to host a national high school human rights debate competition to commemorate International Human Rights Day. We had 20 high schools that competed. St. Jago and Woolmer's boys contested the finals, with St. Jago emerging as inaugural champions. The finals were streamlined on the YouTube channels of the Ministry and Television Jamaica. in passing that on October 4, 2024, the Ministry received correspondence that a group called Freedom Imaginaries submitted a request for a thematic hearing to the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, stating that Haitian asylum seekers were deprived of their liberty and were living in inhumane conditions. The claim further stated that Haitian children in state facilities were separated from their parents. We collaborated with the Ministry of National Security to submit instructions to the Attorney General's chambers for the defense. A statement was subsequently prepared and read at the hearing on Tuesday, November 14, 2024, by our permanent mission in Washington, D.C. Madam Speaker, we are reporting progress. We are reporting progress. I want to turn to the work of the Law Revision Secretariat. This Secretariat is aimed at enhancing the availability of legal information by publishing annual volumes of the revised pages of the laws of Jamaica and facilitating the online publication of the laws. The Secretariat completed major initiatives in the reporting year to include revision of newly enacted and amended statutes for the year 2023. We are working with a backlog. Revision of newly enacted and amended subsidiary legislation for the year 2024. Preparation of revised content for publication of the Jamaica Printing Services by the Jamaica Printing Services. And, Madam Speaker, we have something else to report that excites me greatly. To provide up-to-date and accurate legislative information online, we must reduce the time lag between enactment and inclusion of the revised laws of Jamaica. You know, Madam Speaker, I take no pleasure in saying that at present, ministries do not have a compilation of ministerial orders, and many legal officers do not know where to find the gazettes with them. In this digital age, we must have a dedicated website where all acts passed by Parliament and all subsidiary legislation can be published and circulated in a searchable database, which includes sunset legislation and repealed acts of the Parliament of Jamaica. We also need to see the gazettes containing legal notices and everything that intends to have the effect of law. And so, Madam Speaker, you may recall that during my 2022 sectoral presentation, I informed that the ministry was collaborating with the Jamaica Promotions Corporation, JAMPRO, to develop a comprehensive legal information portal under the World Bank-funded Foundations for Competitiveness and Growth project. Madam Speaker, I am so pleased to announce that this portal has been successfully deployed to staging. That is to say, it has been released for beta testing, which is basically an internal launch marking the completion of one phase of the project, allowing us to move to the next phase where content is being populated and the features of the application are being tested. Madam Speaker, I crave your indulgence to demonstrate and reflect the progress that we have made on this matter. Madam Speaker, we have before us the homepage. Can you take it back? The homepage for the Jamaica Legal Information Portal, what we call JLIP. Whether you are just curious or doing research or you're making sure that you are following the rules, JLIP makes legal information easier to access and understand. I'd like to show you how to search for a law. Now, if you know the name of the law you're looking for, just type it into the search bar and click search. So let's say we want to find the Access to Information Act. We type it in, you click search, and it appears on the screen. One click does the trick. Madam Speaker, I think we're being challenged a little by the internet, but what will come up is the full legislation. But not only that, the full legislation. There is also an advanced search feature that allows you to search by legal topics. Before we get to that, just to say that when you search for the legislation, you can also find the subsidiary legislation, all regulations made under the Act. And that can come up side by side on the screen. May I just ask that we go back and show the principal legislation and the subsidiary legislation under the Access to Information Act. The slow, right, Madam Speaker. Now, I want to say to all Jamaicans that we cannot move to a culture of lawfulness. We can't deal with a high level of impunity and lawlessness in the society if we don't know what our laws are, if we don't know where to find them quickly, and when we find them, how to use them. And that is why my ministry has been working to have the laws available and also to educate the people. And we will be moving to simplify the versions. So, Madam Speaker, we move to the advanced search feature, and this allows you to search by legal topics. And so, if you click, for example, on citizenship and nationality, you will see a list of laws related to the subject matter. In fact, all of the laws on the statute book related to the subject matter will come up, and you just click on it. I want to go to the library page. I know time is against me, and I will be seeking enough time to complete the presentation, as I don't have too much longer to go. Madam Speaker, the library page has the laws grouped into categories, and you can browse them. You have the laws of Jamaica, the revised laws of Jamaica, the annual acts of Parliament, the Jamaica Gazette publications. We also have, Madam Speaker, a Constitution page. And when you click on that, you will see a historical overview of the Constitution of Jamaica. You will see the current consolidated version of the Constitution, which has all of the amendments since it came into effect in 1962 up to 2024. You will see the original Constitution that came into effect at independence, but you will also see the other constitutions that Jamaica had in 1944 when we gained universal adult suffrage, and then in 1959. Madam Speaker, in this area, you can also go to the Hansard. And because truth and accuracy matter, we have the proceedings of the House on January 23, 1962, when the debate on the Independence Constitution was taking place right here in Gordon House. Madam Speaker, you will see those who were present listed there. You see the members of the cabinet, and if you scroll, Madam Speaker, you can even see some of the contribution made by the speakers at the time. Can we just move the page, please? You know, when I was doing the research for the constitutional reform work, and I went to the Hansard, I went to the archives, something struck me about what the then Premier, Norman Manley, said about an aspect of the Constitution. We were debating this issue of citizenship, and Norman Manley said, you become a British subject by virtue of citizenship in your country, it being one of the countries listed in the Act as a country where, if you were formerly a citizen of the United Kingdom and colonies, and you became a citizen of that country, you still become a British subject. He said there is a lot of misunderstanding about it. There is no such thing now as a Jamaican citizen. All citizens who derive their origin from the colony or belong to this country by virtue of birth and circumstances are citizens of the United Kingdom and colonies. And anybody who is naturalized here does not become a Jamaican citizen, but becomes a citizen of the United Kingdom and colonies. And I say, when a country becomes independent in the Commonwealth and passes a law and defines its own citizens, all citizens by virtue of the fact become Commonwealth citizens. Very interesting, Madam Speaker, very interesting. Time does not permit to take through all of the interesting things that Jamaicans will have access to on JLIP. But I'm so proud, Madam Speaker, that this administration is delivering in a big way a commitment that we have made. Madam Speaker, the next sections of my presentation will deal with the work of the Legal Reform Department, the Office of the Parliamentary Council, and then I get to the matter of constitutional reform, on which I will end. The mandate of the Legal Reform Department is, Madam Speaker, I know I may run against time, but I think I will crave everyone's indulgence to allow me to demonstrate another feature of the website where we provide help in the form of Garvey. So if you're searching on the website and you need help and you have a question, you want to ask and get something answered, you can get some help in that. So let's go to Garvey or Helper or digitized assistant. So let's see, let's ask a question. My question would be, what is the relationship between the standing orders and the Constitution of Jamaica? Something that's relevant to the House. Let's see what Garvey tells us. All right. Can you zoom that up to see what it is saying? The standing orders of the House of Representatives are made under the powers conferred by Section 51 of the Constitution, which empowers both the House of Representatives and the Senate to regulate their own procedure and to make standing orders for that purpose. Therefore, the standing order and I say to all Jamaicans that you can count on us when we make commitments to work, to deliver them. It doesn't matter how difficult it gets. It doesn't matter how many hurdles we have to overcome. We are going to work to get it done in the interest of the people that we serve. So, Madam Speaker, moving to the Legal Reform Department, whose mandate is to keep under review the laws applicable in Jamaica with a view to their systemic reform to meet the changing needs of the Jamaican society, and also to assist in the implementation of law reform proposals in accordance with government policy. Madam Speaker, I have set out in the written presentation the long list of matters on which this department worked during the 24-25 year. In fact, every single bit of work that we have done with the rest of government is set out. And I invite members and the public to look at the work when the text of this presentation becomes available. To finish. Sufficient to finish. Sufficient time to about 20.
Madam Speaker, the Minister's time for speaking having been expired, I beg to move that it be extended by 15 minutes to allow her to conclude her presentation. May it please you, Madam Speaker.
Members, the Minister's time for speaking has expired. I ask for an approval of 20 minutes to allow her to complete her presentation. We had some time.
Thank you.
Members, those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. Minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Do forgive me. Time certainly flies when you're having fun. I'm truly, truly excited about what I'm reporting to this House, because it has been such hard work to get it done. And I want to just commend my ministry team. We stayed up, Madam Speaker, let me tell you. So, Madam Speaker, law reform. We are reforming for real results.
Yes, we are.
The work of the Office of the Parliamentary Counsel entails the drafting of laws on instructions from the ministries. The office also advises ministries on points of law relevant to proposed legislation, examines and comments on cabinet submissions related to legislation, and members of the office attend meetings of the Legislation Committee of Cabinet and, where necessary, sittings of this Parliament and its committees. Madam Speaker, I want to report that over the reporting period, the office prepared multiple drafts in respect of 254 legislative instruments to effect changes initiated in the respective ministries. These include draft bills and subsidiary legislative instruments, such as regulations, orders, notices, and rules. Madam Speaker, we have listed the acts that have been passed during the session. There were 13, and they're all listed in the presentation. And of these acts that were drafted, Madam Speaker, we had other pieces of legislation prepared by the Office of the Parliamentary Counsel. Numerous regulations also set out in details. But I want the Honourable House to take note that during the period April 1, 2024 to March 31, 2025, the Office of the Parliamentary Counsel handled 425 legislative matters. And we have set out in the written presentation the categories of instruments and the ministries from which they emanate. I'll just say that the Ministry of Finance has been the number one. Ministry of Finance. And, Madam Speaker, we also have set out in the presentation a graph and a bar chart that will show how the matters are divided. But just to say again that in keeping with a strategy to deliver client-focused drafting services, the Office of the Parliamentary Counsel scored on average 93% on client feedback surveys taken in relation to its provision of drafting services during the year. And the OCP was also the recipient of an award from the Financial Services Commission in recognition of exceptional work done in securing Jamaica's removal from the Financial Action Task Force grey list. For those of you who don't know what it means, that was when we came in serious hot waters around our correspondent banking system and our ability to use a correspondent bank in foreign currency. Madam Speaker, one of the strategic priorities of the ministry is to address the slow pace of legislative reform in the public sector by strengthening inter-ministry collaboration. And we have been working assiduously with the ministry legislative teams to bring the work across government up to scratch. Madam Speaker, this is so difficult. I do not even know if those who send us to this honourable House understand what it takes to run government, what it takes to run Parliament. And so sometimes when you can't be up and down on the street walking, you have to do the work so that we can deliver real results for you. And for those, Madam Speaker, present here, your MP has been at the centre of this work across all of government. So, Madam Speaker, I now turn to the work to reform the Constitution of Jamaica. This is the final part of my presentation. I see a broad smile being concealed by my colleague member of the CRC. Madam Speaker, during the April 1, 2024 to March 31st period, we made significant progress in advancing the constitutional reform agenda. You know, Madam Speaker, I want everyone to understand this. Transforming broad constitutional proposals into legally sound and effective legislation is an arduous task, requiring technical expertise and sustained effort. I just want to reiterate my profound thanks to the members of the Constitutional Reform Committee who have assisted with this work, and the very dedicated Constitutional Reform team at the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs, supported by the other teams in the ministry. Madam Speaker, the enactment in July 2024 of the Constitution Amendment of Section 61 Act to provide for new words of enactment constituted the...
I'm surprised you're here.
I'm surprised you're still alive.
It was just ice cream. But you know what? It was delicious.
What? You're like a family get-together without all the family drama. CG United. Good like that.
Today, they indicate the supreme authority of the Parliament of Jamaica in legislative matters. Madam Speaker, the tabling on December 10, 2024, in this Honourable House, of the bill entitled An Act to Repeal the Jamaica Constitution Order in Council 1962, and to provide for the legal recognition and operation of the Constitution of Jamaica, notwithstanding the repeal of that order in Council, and to amend the Constitution to provide for a non-monarchical head of state, thereby establishing Jamaica as a republic, and to make other amendments in respect of certain other provisions of the Constitution, marked the farthest step taken to achieve the national goals of Jamaicanizing our independence constitution and transitioning Jamaica from a constitutional monarchy to a republic. all of the talks in previous years did not yield a bill tabled in the Parliament. Madam Speaker, in preparing for the tabling of the Republic Bill, the Ministry prepared and printed a consolidated version of the Jamaica Constitution, and, Madam Speaker, we clothe it in the Jamaican colours as a symbolic gesture of where we are going. You know, Madam Speaker, where we are now compels me. Madam Speaker has transformed to Mr. Speaker. Madam Speaker has transformed to Mr. Speaker in the person of the honourable member from St. James Central, my neighbour. Well, you know, Madam Speaker, where we are now, Prime Minister, it's so important to remind everyone that when we decided on phasing the reform, it was done because it was our understanding that we couldn't agree on everything, but that it was important for us to make progress. And, Prime Minister, memories are sometimes short, and people don't know how you were pushed, even though you had the goal. You were prodded to get on with it. And you announced to the heir when he came here that we were moving on. But since then, we have heard, and I think I just want to pause and seek the indulgence of the House to just remind that you can't trust people who tell you that they want to do something and then they change their mind when the work gets hard. So, I just want you to remind everyone to be reminded of what was said in this honourable House.
The important process of repatriating our sovereignty, which began in 1962, has stalled, and there is important unfinished business. The time has come for Jamaica to become a republic within the Commonwealth, with a Jamaican head of state, and for us to swear allegiance to the Constitution and people of Jamaica. Let us proceed with the legal steps required to achieve this, since there is consensus that this is where we need to go. Madam Speaker, we also believe strongly in the importance of providing greater access to the highest level of justice for the Jamaican people by moving from Her Majesty's Privy Council to the Caribbean Court of Justice as our final court of appeal. However, the consciousness of the other side is not there yet. So let us begin with the things that we can agree on and move forward. So let us begin with the things that we can agree on. So let us begin with the things that we can agree on. So let us begin with the things that we can agree on and move forward.
When Jamaica is moving out of the King's Yard, we cannot have 1 foot in and 1 foot out of the yard. That would leave us neither fish nor fowl in another man's yard. That can't work. We will not support a phased approach to dealing with the matter of full decolonization.
So let us begin with the things that we can agree on and move forward.
We will not support a phased approach to dealing with the matter of full decolonization.
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. You know, the question that is now before us is how much more can we achieve for the remainder of the life of this Parliament. But before I answer that question, you know, I began by saying that because we're in the last sectoral debate for the life of this Parliament, I've been reflecting deeper than usual. And here is the contradiction of transition. People beg for change, but get angry when the change requires work. People beg for change and are not prepared to show up and do the work. Madam Speaker, you know, you can't pretend to be principled because you will be exposed. When you are in beyond the quarrel about who gets to lead, because that is what the real dispute in the constitutional reform work came down to. Not wanting. That is what it came down to. Mr. Speaker, I'm getting to my closing, and I'd like to get there. When you are in the thick of transformation, it is never comfortable. And for me, it's never comfortable when you're in the thick of transformation. Everybody's asking what can be done. And some want to have a self-fulfilling prophecy that nothing would have come of this work. On this side, we remain committed to furthering the goals of independence. We remain committed. So, Madam Speaker, because the process is a complex process that is set out in the Constitution, it's designed to be slow, and it demands collaboration. It demands collaboration. Madam Speaker, it's interesting, you know, that some people just want their way. And it appears, hold on, it appears that this is the allegation that is being levied, the same allegation that is being levied across the aisles. Them say we want we way, we say we no want no way. It just can't work like that. What is required to go forward is a different exercise of leadership. And I don't believe it's going to come from over there. I don't believe it's going to come from, hear me, on this matter. I don't believe it's going to come from people who say one thing when it suits them and move away to something else when it suits them. But I don't intend to quarrel it out. I don't intend to quarrel it out. But I just want to say, Madam Speaker, that this work has exposed me to so many things as I represent the people of St. James West Central. People present in this house for the first time expect us to take decisions that will improve their lives. We're not quarreling. I believe that all of us in here come to this place wanting to serve. I am not quarreling with you, Garvey. Not quarreling with you. I'm just saying that what I hear from my people is that there is still a lot of work to be done to make them feel like the citizens of Jamaica that they are. And so, on this side, in the leadership of government, we have achieved much, but there is much more to be done. Much more to be done. We have fixed many roads, but there are many more to be fixed. And the process that we have to go through, from the time a decision is taken and monies are made available, to the time when the work starts, is way too long and inefficient. There is so much to be done. We have made good progress. And so, we are coming back. So, as I prepare for my third term in this honorable house, I want to say thank you. Thank you. Thank you to the ministry team. I hope that my exercise of leadership has encouraged you to excellence. I know it's not always easy to take correction, but I just want to thank you for being a faithful team. I want to thank my I want to thank the people of St. James West Central. I know it has been an interesting journey because my practice of politics is very different from what you've been used to. There you go. And I know that there have been times when you haven't seen me as often as you would have liked. But I want you to know that wherever I am, I have been working in your best interest, because the way politics is being practiced cannot continue for much longer. Cannot. You must be at the center of everything that is done in government. And it's not about fanfare. It's about being deliberate, Mr. Speaker. It's about being deliberate. And so for all those who may think that because I don't readily fit in, I don't belong, I want them to think again, because I will be coming back here in the next parliament. He knows that. No, that's what he needs. That's what he stayed to hear me say. That is what he stayed to hear me say. For everyone who thought I wasn't coming back, that's what he stayed to hear me say. But you know, Madam
Minister,
Mr. Speaker, finally,
Minister,
I want to thank.
Minister, I hope it is finally.
Mr. Speaker, you know that all of us who come here bank on the support of our family. Our family by blood and our family by choice. And I have family in both categories here who have stood with me. You see the two pretty, Mr. Speaker, just in case, you see they are delaying me. I just want to say, Mr. Speaker, how grateful I am to Almighty God for enabling me to stay true to what I believe, difficult as it might have been. And Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank God for my husband, the Honourable Mr. Justice Young. I so regret that he's not able to be in the House today. But you know, Mr. Speaker, in my house, doing what's right matters. My husband has been an outstanding public servant in this country. And he has been such a companion to me on this journey. I really want to thank God for preserving him in illness, for keeping him mentally capable to continue to guide me and to remind me that I must not lose my senses in politics. And as I've always prayed, I pray that God will continue to grant me the wisdom to discover the right, the will to choose it, and the strength to let it endure. Thank you.
Member from St. Andrew Western. Members, the House is still in session.
Mr. Speaker, I begin by saying all praises to God from whom all blessings flow.
Amen. I thought you would have asked for permission to speak from...
No, I formally request the permission to speak from a seat.
So permitted.
Just across from my own. Other than my own permission. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I repeat, all praises to God from whom all blessings flow.
Amen.
Mr. Speaker, at the start of my presentation, I recognize institutions and persons who play important roles in my work and in my life. I recognize you, Mr. Speaker, for the role you play in ordering the business of Parliament and ensuring that the nation's business is attended to efficiently and effectively. I want to recognize the staff of Parliament, and I have to say they have been the most helpful and cheerful staff I have seen in quite some time, and I want to thank them. They've been very, very supportive and helpful. I want to recognize my family, my wife, Judith, who is watching from home today as she prepares our daughter, Nile, for her first CSEC exam on Friday. On Friday, yes, yes, yes. My political family, my councillors, all three of whom are here, I recognize. Yes. You don't know them anyway.
They don't know what you look like. And them can't see you.
My office support, I want to thank my office support staff. I mean, they are truly, truly outstanding. And I have a special group led by former Member of Parliament and former Mayor of Spanish Town, Jennifer Edwards. She's somewhere there in the audience. I want to recognize my campaign manager, my executive members, a number of whom are here this afternoon, and other constituents who are here. I want to recognize my driver and security as well. Madam Speaker, in his absence, I want to recognize the Leader of Opposition, Mr. Mark Goley, who I believe is the best person to lead the transformation that Jamaica must undergo at this time. I want to recognize my colleagues on both sides of the aisles, for their collegiality, and most times their cordiality. Most times. Last but not least, Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker. On the occasion of the 100th year anniversary, permit me, Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, to say, Fortis forever. Forever, Fortis. Mr. Speaker, today I rise in this honourable House for the 27th time. To participate in the annual sectoral debate. None of the others has been as urgent and consequential as this one. Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, the time has come for Jamaica to champion transformative change. Jamaica, Mr. Speaker, is at a crossroads. We are at a moment of choosing, and we are confident, Mr. Speaker, that the people of Jamaica will, as they have done in the past, choose the People's National Party to lead that change. Imagine a Jamaica, Mr. Speaker, where our ports, sea and airports are humming with trading activities, and where ships light up the harbours like a city on the sea, a la Singapore, where industries flourish on innovation, and where every hard-working Jamaican, from the farmers in St. Elizabeth to the e-commerce entrepreneur in Montego Bay, has access to high-quality opportunities in a booming economy. Imagine a country that doesn't just follow global trends, but sets them. where brand Jamaica stands for excellence, ingenuity, and opportunity. We must dream big, think big, act big, and let no one call our vision a distant dream. Let no one place a limit on our capacity to achieve. We have done it in other areas like sports and music. We can do it in the economy as a whole. This is Jamaica 4.0, the global logistic hub and resilient supply chain future we must build together. Jamaica 4.0 is designed to align a whole-of-nation strategy with the advancements of Industry 4.0 technological revolution. This transformative agenda, Mr. Speaker, aims to position Jamaica as the fourth node in the global trading system and a premier hub for business, trade flows, and logistics within the Americas. By prioritizing innovation, leveraging cutting-edge digital technologies, and championing sustainable development, Jamaica 4.0 will accelerate economic growth and redefine the nation's role on the global stage. Jamaica, Mr. Speaker, has always been blessed with great potential, strategic geography, a resilient people, and a culture of creativity that influences the entire world. Yet, for too long, we have been held back by outdated systems, bureaucratic inertia, and missed opportunities. The Logistic Hub initiative, positioned to be the heartbeat of the Americas, remained shackled by inefficiency and a lack of focused implementation. Why else would it take almost 10 years after first being announced for the scheduled groundbreaking of important logistics projects, such as Cayman Special Economic Zone, or the Raintree Logistics and Commercial Complex, for that matter? Mr. Speaker, industries capable of competing on the world stage struggle with outdated infrastructure, limited access to cutting-edge technology, and appropriate competitive financing. And while some are content with slow, incremental progress, we believe Jamaica deserves more. No, Jamaica demands more. Mr. Speaker, the recent budget debate offers a sobering reminder of this government's priorities. Instead of presenting a visionary plan for Jamaica's future, the Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance offered a retrospective analysis that emphasized past achievement but lacked substantive proposals. They ignored the looming threat of a global economic crisis triggered by escalating trade tensions, an omission both reckless and revealing. How credible, then, is the 25-26 budget they have just passed? Jamaicans deserve more than political theater. They deserve a forward-looking economic strategy rooted in resilience, growth, and inclusion. Not another cycle of flashy headlines and electioneering. After 9 years, economic stagnation has ossified. What we need is a clear strategy. Mr. Speaker, let us confront the truth with courage. In 2024, Jamaica's economy did not grow. It declined. Our nation experienced an economic contraction, with real GDP falling by 0.9%. This is not mere statistics. It reflects real hardship, declines in output and productivity, lost income, and missed opportunities across both the goods-producing and services sectors. The picture grows even grimmer when we examine the final 2 quarters of the year. Mr. Speaker, the 4th quarter of 2024, Jamaica's economy contracted by 0.8% year-on-year, following a steep 3.3% decline in the 3rd quarter. This is not just economic turbulence. It is the first back-to-back quarterly contraction since the global pandemic. That fact alone should ring alarm bells in the consciousness of policymakers, every business owner, and every Jamaican family. The decline was not isolated. It was systemic. It spanned critical pillars of our economy. Agriculture, forestry, and fishing fell by 10.6%, following an even steeper decline of 12.5% the quarter before. Mining and quarrying dipped by 2.3% after a staggering 17.4% collapse in Q3. Utilities shrank by 1.4%, hotels and restaurants by 0.3%, and manufacturing by 0.5%. Even construction, once a beacon of employment and capital formation, continued its descent, declining 2.7%. Mr. Speaker, growth is not a luxury. It is a necessity. For every 0.1% we lose in GDP, jobs are lost. Public revenues shrink. Investment dries up. Hope recedes. A nation that does not grow is a nation that stagnates. And a nation that stagnates cannot feed its people, cannot protect its future, and cannot compete on the global stage. The economic downturn, Mr. Speaker, did not occur in a vacuum, nor was it inevitable. It is the result of chronic inaction and a failure to seize the very opportunities that could have transformed our economy. The government failed to stimulate local production, protect key industries, or implement a cohesive growth strategy. Where was investment in value-added agriculture? Where was a push for innovation in manufacturing or the support for our vibrant creative sectors? There has been no real support to help MSMEs scale up, improve quality, and enter new markets. No serious effort to develop a bold, recognizable country of origin brand that will position Jamaican products globally. No strategic pivot to diversify trade routes or secure new market access agreements. And no plan to reposition our mining industry to meet the demands of the new green economy. These were not just missed opportunities. They were critical turning points wasted by a government lacking in vision or strategy. Mr. Speaker, let us not sugarcoat it. Jamaica is underperforming. And while our people continue to work hard and persevere, they are being let down by an administration that governs with excuses instead of vision. The economic contraction of 2024 should be a wake-up call. But more than that, it should be a call to action. It demands new leadership. It demands a bold, future-ready vision. It demands Jamaica 4.0 global logistics hub implemented. Mr. Speaker, we stand at a unique geopolitical crossroads. Jamaica lies adjacent to the Panama Canal and sits at the heart of international shipping routes. This is not just a coincidence of geography. It is a divine opportunity. The COVID-19 pandemic exposed the fragility of global supply chains. And in the wake of climate change, armed conflicts, trade wars, and geopolitical tensions, the world is crying out for reliable logistics and supply chain alternatives. The evolving conflicts between major economies forecast to reduce growth in the global economy and in Jamaica is a clarion call for action. Jamaica must answer that call. Mr. Speaker, let us not forget that the foundation was laid by the People's National Party administration. The PNP has a proven track record of implementing transformative policies that have laid the foundation for Jamaica's economic growth. The previous PNP administration secured a historic 30-year concession, a 30-year concession with CMA CGN Group, ensuring that the Port of Kingston play a pivotal role in global and regional logistics. Paternity of the Global Logistic Hub initiative, Mr. Speaker, is not in doubt, as the record is clear that the foundation for Jamaica to become a leader in global trade was laid by the PNP. It was the PNP that established the special economic SEZ regime, no DNA around here, creating opportunities for economic growth that this administration has failed to capitalize on. The PNP also revitalized the public transportation network through the Jamaica Urban Transit Company, driving productivity improvements. By liberalizing the telecommunications sector, the PNP enabled the enhancement of the business process outsourcing, or the BPO, and knowledge process outsourcing, KPO industry, which are now integral in the economy of the Global Logistic Hub initiative, integral to that economy. Furthermore, the PNP's liberalization of motor vehicle import policy has positioned Jamaica as a regional logistic hub for vehicle distribution, just to name a few. These strategic decisions have not only diversified the economy, but also created sustainable employment opportunities. The Prime Minister often claims that the PNP articulates ideas and he implements. But after 9 years, why are we now just breaking ground when we should be cutting ribbons for these developments? Mr. Speaker, give us vision, lest we perish. Let there be no doubt, the next PNP government will breathe new life into the logistic hub strategy. We will implement a robust and modern strategy, one grounded in new realities and backed by concrete actions. We will expand our network of trade agreements and modernize existing agreements to include digital trade, trade in services, and supply chain cooperation. These agreements will be transformative, not only attracting investments, but also providing the legal certainty businesses need to thrive and to grow. Mr. Speaker, the Holness administration has failed to grasp this moment. They have minimized Jamaica's role in CARICOM, failed to exercise its leadership of external trade negotiations within CARICOM to conclude any new agreement, and squandered valuable opportunities. We are now caught in the turbulence of changing U.S. foreign and trade policies, unprepared and exposed. The administration's refusal to engage with potential partners such as the African Continental Free Trade Area and the African Export-Import Bank, Afri-Exim, is not only short-sighted, but detrimental to our economic sovereignty and national well-being. The across-the-board 10% tariff on global and domestic exports to the United States, as well as the threatened further increase of tariff on specific sectors, will shortly see price rising on raw materials, intermediate and finished goods to Jamaica and the CARICOM region. The prospects for import-driven price inflation looms large as a result of tariff-driven policies, Mr. Speaker. Jamaica has abandoned CARICOM, and it is focused exclusively on its own interests over the strategic and collaborative benefit that is possible through regional cooperation. Pursuing, it seems, not simply a Jamaica-first strategy, but a Jamaica-alone strategy. The European Union is a prime example of regional cooperation in action. The African Union is finding common ground, and this government is into Jamaican exceptionalism. Mr. Speaker, while the oldest administration, continue, say that aloud. Yeah.
Yes,
Mr. Speaker, while the oldest administration fiddles, there's a fire burning in the distance, which cannot be seen by a government that lacks vision. The questions remain. Why was nothing done to safeguard our economic interests? Not a single mitigation strategy shared with the Jamaican people. Instead, the Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce boasts of his many foreign jaunts with business persons in tow. This was designed to fail, to generate the investment he said he went in search of. This was predictable, as the necessary groundwork to prepare for these vital visits were never done. No new bilateral investment treaty or BITs, no new double taxation agreement, nor any new trade agreement were entered into with those countries whose markets he was targeting, either before or after those visits. No new route to market or market opening agreement was achieved by the minister and his touring party or the government. The minister has responded with excuses. Mr. Speaker, excuses do not protect jobs. Excuses do not build resilience. And the opposition is again demanding an accounting for the trips taken and the cost benefit to the Jamaican taxpayers. As Jamaica faces pressing economic and social challenges, the JLP government has been prioritizing its own interests over the welfare of the nation. Reminiscent of the ancient Roman Empire, Empire's internal decay while the city of Rome burned. It is time, Mr. Speaker, for bold transformational action. Time come to champion change. I will now outline the roadmap to Jamaica 4.0 Global Logistic Hub implemented. Mr. Speaker, our task here today is not just to critique the failings of the present administration, but to chart a new course. A course that recognizes the magnitude of Jamaica's potential and the cost of ignoring it. A course built on a foundation of purpose, clarity, and conviction. Jamaica 4.0 is more than an idea. It is our lifeline to true prosperity. Madam Speaker, let me be clear. The old playbook no longer works. The global economy has changed, the regional dynamics have shifted, and the future will not wait for Jamaica to catch up. We must lead, and to lead, we must act. The past has offered us hard lessons. The present demands accountability, but the future, that belongs to those who prepare for it. Mr. Speaker, my portfolio strategy for economic transformation is underpinned by 4 pillars: trade, industry, investment and logistics, integrating science, technology and innovation. To get together, they form the architecture of what we call Jamaica 4.0, a future-ready economy that prioritizes sustainability, innovation, and inclusivity. First, trade. We will implement a comprehensive modern trade policy, one that reflects Jamaica's potential and secures our place in the global economy. A PNP-led administration will restore and deepen engagement with CARICOM, rekindle South-South cooperation, and forge new partnerships in Africa, Mexico, Asia, and Latin America, even while seeking to improve our trade agreements with the EU, Canada, and the US. Our vision is to transform Jamaica into the region's global supply and value chain powerhouse that it is destined to become. Second, industry. No nation has achieved prosperity without a thriving industrial base. We will revitalize legacy industries and foster new sectors: digital services, creative industries, clean manufacturing, and renewable energy. Industrialization engenders scale, productivity, and above all, jobs. Jobs for your youth, jobs for women, jobs that pay well and are career-oriented. We will embrace an industrial policy and strategy. Third, investment. Mr. Speaker, we must project a new image of Jamaica. A future PNP administration is committed to repositioning the country's promotion agency, JAMPRO, to focus on its core function, to include spearheading a global investment campaign. This initiative aims to rebrand Jamaica, not only as a premier tourist destination, which it is, but also as a hub for innovation.
I had the most amazing advisors. But as you go along and get the guidance from the people at Walden, you realize what you really ought to be doing. And it was amazing. What they taught us is how to bring excellence in every aspect of our lives. And that our lives did not just belong to us, but it belonged to the community, it belonged to the society, and I believe that.
Walden University set a course for change.
Going somewhere? We'll take you there, anywhere. In comfort, relax. Enjoy the benefit of your own private driver for individuals or groups, transfers, day trips, your own customized tour, or chauffeured service.
First conceived and articulated by the Simpson-Miller administration, will be fully realized under our stewardship. We will modernize logistics infrastructure such as ports and airports, establish special economic zones, and create an integrated air and sea transport network that enhances connectivity across the Caribbean, the Americas, and beyond to Asia and Africa. As logistics has emerged, the frontier of Industry 4.0 technologies, we will leverage AI technology to reshape industries, including the logistics and supply chain industry, where AI is optimizing workflows, increasing productivity, cutting costs, and building agility and resilience. Madam Speaker, these are not mere aspirations. These are imperatives. Our people are our most valuable resource. And under future PNP administration, we will invest and equip them to become better prepared. You don't know nothing about Goat Island. To become better prepared to compete globally. This is why we will implement a game-changing workforce capacity development program to equip Jamaicans with the skills required to thrive in high-value industries such as logistics, advanced manufacturing, digital trade, and the green economy. We will also modernize access to post-secondary education, diversify the curriculums to reflect emerging sectors, and ensure that no child is left behind. This is about more than jobs. It is about building a globally competitive workforce, empowering communities.
Sufficient. 20 minutes. 20
Mr. Speaker, the members' time for speaking having expired. I beg to move that his time be extended by 15 minutes to allow him to complete his presentation. May it please you, Mr. Speaker.
Why are you punishing me?
The request is on the floor for the Speaker to be given an additional 15 minutes to complete his presentation. Those in favor? Those against? Ayes have it. Speaker, I want you to focus on your 15 minutes and don't sidetrack.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. We will expand broadband internet access, data protection, data analysis, promote smart infrastructure, and ensure that no community is left behind in the digital age. Madam Speaker, we must diversify. We must build resilience. To this end, the next PNP government will review and update the 2018 National Trade Policy that encourages growth and innovation. Finalize the logistics hub in Jamaica to strengthen connectivity not only to CARICOM's single market and economy, but to global supply chains linking Africa, Asia, Europe, and the Americas. Diversify our economy to promote interdependence and to reduce overdependence on tourism and mining. Invest in digital and physical infrastructure, as logistics is the frontier of digital technology. Reform education to align with the industries of the future and to develop the workforce with competencies required to build and sustain these industries. Reform and modernize the Scientific Research Council to play an enhanced role in applied research in collaboration with the private sector. Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, these are not abstract policy strategies. These are meaningful, tangible solutions to the pressing problems we face. The PNP understands that successful economic transformation requires both the hardware and the software. That's why our approach is holistic, integrated, and forward-looking. Importantly, we cannot build a logistic hub without the software, which is the trade agreements, the bilateral investment treaties, the workforce training, the regulatory frameworks, and relevant institutions, including the previously mentioned Logistics Council, comprising key stakeholders. Mr. Speaker, the logic of transformation is not new. Simpson Miller administration understood the perils of climate disruption and the fragility of global supply chains. Hence, the creation of a Ministry of Environment and Climate Change, along with the articulation of the Global Logistics Sub-Initiative by a PNP administration. But what followed? A deafening silence, a wasted decade, a grand vision reduced to political soundbites. The recent announcement by the administration of a future date to finally break ground at Caymanas for the Special Economic Zone is another painful reminder of how far we are, how far behind we are, how far behind we are. They have taken our blueprint but cannot read it properly. They have taken our blueprint but cannot read it properly. What is a hub? What is a hub without a network? What is a zone without a strategy? What about the trade agreements that enable trade? What is the new engage arrangement for competitively priced energy, in the SEZs? Infrastructure without supportive ecosystem is not likely to succeed, as the targeted investors will quickly assess these shortcomings and keep their money safe until these binding constraints are addressed. Mr. Speaker, the logistic hub is not just about buildings. It is about power grids and data networks, about skilled workers and digital services, about trade agreements that open doors and firms that benefit from them by penetrating markets. It is also the software, not only the hardware, that will make the Jamaica Logistic Hub a node in the global trading system. While neighboring countries move swiftly to diversify markets and forge new agreements. Jamaica did nothing. The new bilateral or regional trade agreements, no modification of the trade apparatus, and shockingly, no leadership in a portfolio where Jamaica holds a critical CARICOM mandate, that of external negotiation. This is not merely mismanagement, it is self-sabotage. The question before us is not whether the global trading system is changing. It already has. The question is whether Jamaica will change with it or be left behind. The Caribbean needs a trading hub. The Americas need a new center for trade. And the world needs a fourth node in the global trading system. Jamaica can and must answer the call. This is not a dream deferred, Mr. Speaker. It is a dream reignited. Our ports operating 24/7, linking to cutting-edge industrial parks, powered by renewable energy and connected to global markets. High-value industries from green tech to AI logistics flourish on our shores. A new generation of Jamaicans, trained in data analytics, supply chain management, artificial intelligence, robotics, procurement management, transport analyst, logistics coordinator, demand planner, distribution manager, inventory coordinator, just to name a few career opportunities, ready and working in the jobs of the future. This is not a fantasy. It is policy with purpose. It is ambition backed by action. Mr. Speaker, PNP leadership will include empowering Jamaica's MSMEs, a national imperative for sustainable growth. Mr. Speaker, both the opposition leader and the spokesman on finance and planning have outlined key plans for the MSME sector in the budget debate. I want to delve a little deeper into this vital area, as most of our businesses fall within this category. MSMEs are not just the backbone of our economy. They are a driving force for job creation and a catalyst for significant economic growth. Their success is integral to the prosperity of our nation, and it is crucial that we continue to support and empower this sector to unlock its full potential. At the heart of any thriving economy lies a vibrant and empowered micro, small, and medium enterprise sector. In Jamaica, MSMEs are not just businesses. They are the heartbeat of communities, the engine of job creation, and the lifeblood of innovation. And yet, too many of our MSMEs continue to struggle, underfunded, underrepresented, and underprepared to fully seize the opportunities of a rapidly changing global economy. This is why, Mr. Speaker, we present a bold transformative vision to empower Jamaica's MSME to harness the full potential of our nation's enviable geographic position, indeed a gateway connecting the Americas to the world. As we seek to establish Jamaica as a dynamic trade and logistic hub, our MSMEs must not be left behind. They must be central to this vision, not peripheral. Indeed, the PNP's plan to build a logistic hub is most urgent, as many of our entrepreneurs currently engage in e-commerce activities, some of them working from homes, are desperately trying to find new routes to markets in order to avoid tariffs and the elimination of the US $800 de minimis tariff exemption on small shipments. The program we propose is not off the shelf, nor is it borrowed from foreign blueprints. It is uniquely Jamaican crafted, with the understanding of our economic realities, our cultural strength, and global aspirations. It is tailored to meet the needs of Jamaican MSMEs operating within the unique economic context. Our vision is clear, Mr. Speaker, to create a vibrant ecosystem of competitive, innovative, and sustainable MSMEs. Our mission is resolute, to dismantle the barriers that hinder growth, productivity, and innovation, and to replace them with pathways to opportunity, resilience, and scalability. Our goal is ambitious but necessary, to foster the sustainable growth and global competitiveness of Jamaican MSMEs through tailored programs that address the critical gaps, which are appropriate financing, market access, digital capacity, and skills development. This is not mere rhetoric. It's a strategy grounded in action. We are committed to enhancing the capabilities of 10,000 Jamaican MSMEs over the next 5 years. 10,000 businesses will become more bankable, more competitive, more digitally savvy, and more integrated into the global economy. This is not just an economic imperative. It's a national mission. Let us consider the core objectives that will drive this transformation. First, we will enhance access to affordable and appropriate financing. Far too many entrepreneurs have dreams that die in the queue for a loan. We will not allow capital to be the enemy of innovation. We will revisit the use of dormant funds in financial institutions, in consultation with other financial institutions and our MSME stakeholders. This could liberate upwards of $40 billion of low-cost concessionary or grant funds for use in support of the MSME sector. Second, we will build capacity through enhanced technical assistance and targeted training programs, because knowledge is power, and every MSME deserves the tools to thrive. We will strengthen the capacity of the MSME department within the parent ministry for driving policy, while enhancing JBDC's central role for orchestrating and delivering technical assistance to MSMEs across various industries and sectors. Third, we will expand access to market locally, regionally, and internationally. Jamaican products must not only serve corner shops in Clarendon, they must be in the stores in Canada and cafes in Colombia. We will negotiate a network of trade agreements to facilitate not only market access, but market presence for our MSMEs. This will be complemented by an enhanced role for the Exim Bank in making available trade financing at competitive rates. Fourth, we will promote the adoption of innovative technologies. For in today's digital age, a business that is offline is a business needed a lifeline. In implementing Jamaica 4.0, we will integrate the suite of Industry 4.0 technologies in the planning and operation of our MSMEs across industries, including the adoption of AI in logistics and supply chain management, and digital twins in architecture, for example. And fifth, we will foster sustainable business practices. Mr. Speaker, the economy of tomorrow will reward those who build responsibly today. The outcomes we expect are profound. MSCs that are more competitive, more innovative and advanced, more resilient and more sustainable. We expect job creation. We expect stronger communities. We expect measurable economic growth. A future PNP administration will take bold steps to reposition our economy for inclusive and transformative growth. As one of our strategies include with purpose in JAMPRO, it will be set to become not just a passive promoter, but as an active enabler of investment, brand building, and sector diversification. Remember your party? What happened to it?
17 people went.
Yeah, we will provide direct support to help MSMEs to scale up, build globally recognized brands, and penetrate niche export markets where Jamaica can lead. By targeting industries where we can compete on quality, innovation, and identity, not solely on price, we will attract multinational companies and foster a more resilient, value-driven export economy. This is how we empower local businesses, attract strategic foreign investment, and pivot Jamaica towards a new era of prosperity. In the manufacturing and services sector, we will introduce tax rebates, subsidized loans for machinery and skills development schemes. MSMEs will gain access to industrial clusters and benefit from technology upgrades, enhancing their global supply chain integration. In the agribusiness sector, we will support rural entrepreneurship through targeted subsidies and incentives for the special economic zones for sustainable farming, grants and concessional loans for agro-processing and cold storage infrastructure. In the orange economy, Jamaica's creative industries will receive funding, incubation support and intellectual property protection, from reggae to film, from fashion to digital design, will foster a new generation of cultural entrepreneurs. In the digital economy, grants for technology adoption, digital cashback incentives, and broadband expansion will drive our digital transformation. Every MSME, regardless of size, must be connected to compete. Strategy is bold, but it is not impossible. It is ambitious, but it is achievable. And most importantly, it is urgent. Future-ready, the building of the infrastructure for future-ready Jamaica. Madam Speaker, there are moments in the life of a nation when opportunity meets preparation, when the decisions we make today shape the prosperity of our generations to come. We are standing 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, if the members will allow a moment for us to make a reasoned request, then perhaps there could be some allowances. But Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to say before we allow for the absolute 5 minutes for completion, that members take this position seriously. We have been trying to manage this whole process efficiently and effectively on both sides. And it makes a mockery of the process if after the leader on the other side and myself meet, discuss and agree on a procedure and a timeline, then everything goes awry. So I urge members to prepare their texts with time considerations and to ensure that we are more efficient in the use of our time to achieve the result. Remembering that for a budget presentation to be lasting, it need not be everlasting. Mr. Speaker, may I request that the member be allowed 5 minutes to complete his presentation.
Speaker. I'm going to put the request to the floor, but in doing so, I too have the last say, and I'm going to say to you, use that time wisely. I am not going beyond. The request is on the floor for an extension of time, 5 minutes, for the Speaker to complete his presentation. Always. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, what I did not reference were the many. I have foregone a number of parks that we will implement, and to say this, Mr. Speaker, the road to economic transformation runs through innovation parks, where industry meets ambition and Jamaica takes its place in the global manufacturing race. This is how we build, Mr. Speaker, through these parks, a made in Jamaica manufacturing brand that stands for quality, sustainability, and innovation. It is about creating jobs, not just for today, but for a generation. Mr. Speaker, I'll say this: if we are to transform Jamaica's economy, we must also invest boldly in industries of the future. Not anchor ourselves to the past. Our specialized industrial parks are designed to catalyze innovation, attract investment, and create high-value career across the island. So we have from Sports Park, Creative Industries Park, Pharmaceutical and Medical Devices Parks, the Aluminum and Innovation Parks. Mr. Speaker, these parks are not mere facilities. They are strategic engines for export growth, youth employment, estimated to be over 200,000 direct jobs, and national resilience. Jamaica must build where the world is going. Mr. Speaker, the vision is not about figures. It's about people. It's about a Jamaica where every parish, every community, every citizen has access to jobs, opportunity, and dignity. Where supply chain management lowers costs, raises living standards, and creates competitive MSMEs. Where transformation is no longer a promise, but a reality. Let us not drift along with history, we must make history. Jamaica is not too small to matter. Jamaica is too important to be ignored. Let us build a country that will make our children proud. Let us make Jamaica 4.0 the moment that changed everything. The time to champion the change is now. The future is waiting. The leadership is ready. In closing, let me affirm that Jamaica is not, let me repeat, let me affirm that Jamaica is at a precipice, not a crossroads. We can choose continuity, or we can choose to step boldly into a new era. An era defined not by what we inherited, but by what we built. Let us also be clear, corruption is not a side issue. It is a central threat to our nation's progress. This is a crisis. This is a crisis that erodes investor confidence, undermines public trust, and stalls real growth. If we are to truly pivot this country and unleash our full potential, we must first restore credibility, accountability, and good governance at the very top. At a moment of great economic uncertainties, countries and regions are strengthening connectivity to regional and global markets in order to build resilient supply chains and ensure their economic survival and growth. We have no choice and very little time in which to diversify our route to markets and access to new markets for the critical supplies we need, or the export to earn the foreign exchange to keep our economy growing. Wait and see is not a strategy. It's merely temporizing. Action to safeguard Jamaica's interests under CBI legislation by seeking an exemption to the 10% tariff imposed must be done on a CARICOM level. The logic of CARICOM cooperation, which at times escapes the JLP administration, is inescapable in this and other matters affecting the region. The PMP leadership of CARICOM is best able to unite the region around this and other critical development issues facing the region. The JLP go-it-alone tendency, exemplified by its historic and current stance on regional integration, is simply not helpful. And this moment of looming crisis, we need the government with vision and the political will, focus and inspired unity. Let us choose the government for the moment, one that has a proven ability to rally the country and region, to overcome the immediate and strategic challenges facing Jamaica and the region. Critical to addressing economic growth and development challenges facing Jamaica, CARICOM and the Americas, is the implementation of Jamaica 4.0 Global Logistic Hub implemented, the gateway to the Americas and to the fourth node in the global trading system, digitally connected, economically diversified, and socially included. Mr. Speaker, the future is calling. Let us rise to meet it. Time comes for Jamaica.
House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, just before I ask for the recommittal of the items from announcements, from statement by ministers, I really would like to indicate that we really have had two excellent presentations today. And we just want to re-emphasize the importance of, restoring the dignity of the House in all its respect, and to ensure that members do respect the rules that we ourselves have set, because these things we have agreed on. And when we agree on, we must try and hold to those agreements. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move for the recommittal of all items starting from statements by Minister. Just before you indulge us in that regard, I also would like to move for the suspension of the sectoral debate to Tuesday, May 13, I think, yes, at 2 p.m., when the speakers will be the
that we have a suspension of the sectoral debate until the 13th of May at 2 p.m. sharp. Those in favor? Those against, the ayes have it. The request is on the floor for the continuation, recommittal, sorry. Those in favor? Those against, the ayes have it. Statement by ministers.
Mr. Speaker, there's one statement today, and the Minister of Gender, Culture, Entertainment, and many other services, the member from St. Catherine Central, will make a statement. May it please you.
It's being distributed. That's not the statement. That's just, I know it's being copied, but I have one statement here that I can make available. Thank you. All right, my apologies for not having this statement ready for distribution, but I know that it's being copied. Mr. Speaker, distinguished members of this honorable House, I am pleased to rise in this House at this time, a time when we look forward to one of the most seminal acts that demonstrate Jamaicans working together for one common good, the advancement of our country through the celebration of Workers' Week and Labor Day. It is time to come together once more and salute those who contributed so much of their time to the promotion of Jamaica's productivity and economic success. As such, we recall the many stalwarts of the Jamaica labor movement who worked tirelessly to promote proper industrial practices in which people could aspire to decent work with decent pay. We pause to acknowledge our trade union leaders and workers, those who were tasked with dismantling the earlier systems of forced labor and oppression to create for the new Jamaica a labor force in which all would be assured of decent wages as they built their lives and livelihoods. I must pause to salute the founders and leaders of our trade unions, beginning with the Bustamante Industrial Trade Union and the National Workers Union, and a host of others that came later and were related to specific areas of industry, such as the Jamaica Association of Local Government Officers, the Trade Unions Congress, the Union of Technical Administrative Supervisor Personnel, the Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions, the Jamaica Employers Federation, and the Jamaica Teachers Association, among so many others. We also pause to pay homage to those who gave their lives for the dismantling of the oppressive systems we inherited from the enslavement of our ancestors. Those like the Right Excellent Sam Sharp, who was martyred for his role in the first organized industrial action in Jamaica, when he and his followers determined not to return to the horrible experience of forced labor on plantations in December 1831. Mr. Speaker, it is instructive that we are able to recognize Sam Sharp's sacrifice for the workers of modern Jamaica by honoring him every National Labor Day with a wreath-laying ceremony commemorating his execution on May 23, 1832. This year, as we have been doing, we will rise early in the morning of Labor Day to first pay homage to Sam Sharp at the National Heroes Park, while the Mayor of Montego Bay will lead a team to the monument of Sam Sharp Square, to the monument in Sam Sharp Square, for their wreath-laying tributes to Sam Sharp and his warriors on whose shoulders we stand today. We pause to remember the Right Excellent Paul Bogle and the Right Excellent George William Gordon, who were determined to represent the masses of the Jamaican people who were still shackled because of inadequate working conditions, declaring liberty of person, liberty of land. Both of these national heroes were also martyred for demanding better working conditions for the newly freed people of Jamaica in October 1865. We also pause today to remember those who participated in the resistance and riots of 1938, as once again the people of Jamaica resisted and revolted for better working conditions. As it became painfully clear that the colonial powers, while promoting emancipation, were using colonial practices to maintain their oppression of the working poor of Jamaica. Mr. Speaker, since then, we have had leaders like the Right Excellent Sir Alexander Bustamante, the Right Excellent Norman Manley, Aggie Bernard, St. William Grant, the Most Honorable Edward Seaga, the Most Honorable Michael Manley, Lyndon Newland, and a host of other politicians and trade unionists in the likes of former Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Hugh Lawson Shearer, and the former Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Portia Simpson Miller. Madam Speaker, I particularly mention these latter because of a special part of the celebration of Workers' Week 2025. We have decided that the National Insurance Building at National Hero Circle will be named the Lyndon Gladstone Newland Building, and that the main building at the Ministry of Labour and Social Security at 1F North Street will be named the Portia Simpson Miller Building. Both acts are in recognition of their outstanding contribution to the movement for the rights and proper working conditions of Jamaican workers. Mr. Speaker, also worth mentioning at this time is the coincidence of the start of Workers' Week and Labor Day 2025 on Sunday, May 18, with the anniversary of the birth of the Most Honorable Hugh Lawson Shearer, himself a stalwart of the labor movement. To this end, there will be a special floral tribute in his honor at the National Heroes Park at 3 p.m. after the Workers' Week and Labor Day Thanksgiving service earlier that day at the Holiness Christian Church at Port Henderson Road, Portmore, which starts at 9:30 a.m. Mr. Speaker, among the songs celebrating the heritage, the people, culture, and natural beauty of our island home is one created by two of Jamaica's most outstanding creatives. A.L. Hendricks, Jamaican poet and writer, who was responsible for the lyrics, and Lloyd Hall, Jamaican musician who created the music. The song is Jamaica Land of Beauty, and some of its words speak to our responsibility as a people to conserve and sustain the beautiful home we inherited from our ancestors. The words Jamaica Land of Beauty, we promise faithfully to serve thee with our talents and bring our gifts to thee. Jamaica, we will always, in honor of thy name, work steadfastly and wisely and never bring thee shame. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, the story is told that when Christopher Columbus found himself on the shores of our island, it was its beauty that first captured his thoughts, and he referred to Jamaica as, and I quote, the fairest island that eyes have held. Eyes have beheld. So, Mr. Speaker, it is to this beautiful island environment that we turn our attention to for this Workers' Week and Labor Day 2025. As a people, we have not always lived up to our duty and commitment to keep this land at its most beautiful and self-sustaining, to keep our environment clean and healthy. Too many of us have forgotten that we were taught early in basic school such gems as, and I'm sure we all will remember, bits of paper, lying on the ground, make the place untidy, pick them up. And so our focus for Workers' Week and Labor Day, the young ones here don't know that song, right? And so our focus for Workers' Week and Labor Day 2025 is the environment. And to this end, we have identified a theme and a slogan as follows. The theme, protect the environment, our land, our duty, our future. And the slogan, Jamaica nice, protect our paradise. So, Mr. Speaker, our overall objective is to promote environmental awareness, encourage community involvement, and inspire Jamaicans to act in protecting their environment. Throughout, our people will be encouraged to adopt sustainable practices in their daily lives through a conscious effort to keep their environment clean. The aim, ultimately, is to remind our people that protecting our natural resources and environment not only sustain Jamaica's natural beauty, but also, and very significantly, contributes to public health and safety. Among the benefits that accrue to living and working in a healthy environment include enhanced civic pride, improved community and workspaces, and sustained property values. Not to mention that Jamaica's beauty is still a major attraction for tourists and visitors as it was for our first European tourist, Christopher Columbus, over 500 years ago. He didn't discover Jamaica, but he landed on our shores and was the first tourist. And he saw people here. Sustaining the environment is about property enhancement, beautification, and conservation of community spaces, including parks and recreational facilities, collection and disposal of waste. To this end, we welcome strategic partners with other ministries, such as the Ministry of Health and Wellness, the Ministry of Environment, the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development, the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, the Ministry of Tourism. Yes, the Ministry of Tourism. Agencies, municipalities, civil societies, private sector organizations, the church, and the business sector.
Mr. Speaker, again, the minister's time for speaking has expired, and I beg to request an additional 5 minutes for her to conclude her presentation. May it please you, Mr. Speaker.
The request is on the floor. Those in favor? Those against? Ayes have it. Madam Minister, you have 5 minutes only.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Won't be a problem. So, as is customary, the Labor Day Planning Secretary has identified the national project for 2025. In keeping with our focus on the environment, I'm pleased to announce that this year's national project will focus on the establishment of the Environmental and Research Park at Mason River in Clarendon. Mason River is an area of environmental awareness and protection that has gained international recognition over time. In 2022, the area was designated a protected national heritage area under the Natural Resources Conservation Authority Act and a protected national heritage site under the Jamaica National Heritage Trust Act. The site was also declared a game sanctuary in 1998 under the Wildlife Protection Act. And more recently, in 2011, the site gained recognition as a wetland of international significance, becoming Jamaica's 4th Ramsar site under the Ramsar Convention on Wetlands. These designations underscore the property's national significance as a heritage area rich and unique in biodiversity, as well as for the vital ecosystem services it provides. Mr. Speaker, the Mason River Protected Area plays an essential role in the lives and livelihoods of surrounding and wider communities, offering numerous ecosystem services, including water regulation, carbon sequestration, nutrient recycling, biodiversity support, as well as providing recreational and cultural value. As is customary, the national project will be led by the Most Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Andrew Holness, and will include the Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Mark Golding. The end of Labor Day 2025, it will culminate with a gospel extravaganza at Emancipation Park. Full details on Workers' Week and Labor Day activities will appear in the media. I will also be providing members of Parliament with the details. I have circulated the registration form for projects. We're encouraging communities across the island, members of Parliament, and the municipalities to identify their projects and have them registered. The CDF, members of Parliament can spend up to $900,000 from their CDF to do projects in their constituencies. And there will be projects in each parish that will get national focus. It's important that we recognize the importance of our environment. We'll also be partnering with Recycle Partners of Jamaica to ensure that we treat with bottles and the shores, the seashore and so on. So as I close, I just want to again go back to the words of Jamaica Land We Beauty. Says, together in our country, in love and brotherhood, we'll work and play in freedom as all God's children should, with hearts and hands united, in thanks for everything that God has given unto us. Together let us sing, from riverside to mountain, from cane field to the sea, our hearts salute Jamaica, triumphant, proud, and free. My deepest appreciation, Mr. Speaker, and to my colleagues for the support and the mobilization that they will ensure is done in our celebration. As we protect the environment, our land, our duty, our future, and we will revel in the beauty of our country, affirming Jamaica nice, protect our paradise. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Announcement? Sorry.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Let me thank the Minister for her update and for telling us what is intended as we celebrate Workers' Week and Labor Day. I agree with you, Minister, that we have come a far way, and that throughout the years we have had, as you have identified, many of our unions, many individuals who have really made tremendous sacrifice, personal sacrifice, to ensure that they got Jamaicans together to fight for changes in our working conditions. Although we have come a far way, I know you still agree with me that there is still more work to do as we embark on the decent work and decent pay agenda. The truth also is that the decisions that you have made in terms of for Workers Week 2025 around the National Insurance Building at National Hero Circle, named in honor of Lyndon Gladstone, the Lyndon Gladstone Newland building, as well as the Minister of Labour, at 1F North Street, named for Portia Simpson Miller, I believe are two good decisions made. And we welcome that. I think sometimes there are so many individuals who give almost their life in terms of making tremendous changes to who we are and how things are done. And sometimes in passing we mention them, but we don't fully acknowledge them. And I believe that it is important as we move into the second decade for people of African descent, where we have gone beyond just recognition and justice, but really to look a little bit more deeply about how we address some of these injustices. So I'm glad to see that happening. I like the idea also of looking at the environment. As you know, we welcome it on this side. We have been saying that Jamaica nice, and it's nice for all of we, not for some of we, and that is the journey on which we are embarked to ensure that everybody in Jamaica can say nice, Jamaica can say nice for them. So I want to thank you for that. As I end, Minister, I just wanted to say that as you were speaking, I was thinking that, yes, we're focused on the environment, and I understand why we are doing that, but I believe that based on really where we are and the work to be done, is that we have to really thank all of our workers, because what we enjoy today, although there's much way to go, we owe because of our workers and how they have come together, whether it is for our nurses or our teachers or our doctors or public servants. We really owe them a debt of gratitude. And what we should be working on, I'd want to suggest as well, Minister, is to actually see how we can move to a livable wage benchmark and doing that work so that we can be assured of a fairer, more inclusive economy and society for all Jamaicans. Thank you.
Announcements.
Laid on the table of the House are the following ministry papers entitled Cabinet Agenda Issues, numbered 14.
Turbo with a new look, new style, with the same great taste in the 250 ml can. Everybody run out now. Go and go grab one. Me charge up with a Turbo 250 ml at your favorite spot. Wait, sell. New look, new can, same vibes. Jinxing, energize up your life. Vibes up, work time, anytime we are turn up the party with Turbo can. Turbo can, Turbo can, Turbo can. Now available in the new 250 ml can. Turbo energy drink. Charge up today.
Hun, it's asking for your password.
BRANDI, the number 4, EVER?
Who's Brandy?
We're like the password that isn't your ex-girlfriend's name. CG United. Good like that.
Petitions. Bills brought from the Senate. Petitions. Papers. Reports from committee.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay on the table of the House a copy of the annual report of the Public Accounts Committee of the House of Representatives on its examination of ministries, departments, and agencies during the period February 2022 to February 2025.
Notice of motion given orally.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to give notice that at the next sitting of the House, I will move the following motion. Be it resolved that the annual report of the Public Accounts Committee of the House of Representatives on its examination of ministries, departments, and agencies during the period February 22 to February 25, which was laid on the table of the House of the Representatives on the 29th day of April, be approved. Mr. Speaker, I beg to give further notice that at a later stage today, I will move for the suspension of the standing orders to enable me to take this motion.
Mr. Speaker, I also beg to give notice that at the next meeting of the House, I will move to introduce and have read a first time a bill shortly entitled the Pensions Public Service Amendment and Validation Act 2025.
Mr. Speaker, I also beg to give notice that at the next meeting of the House, I will move to introduce and have read a first time a bill shortly entitled the Criminal Records Rehabilitation of Offenders Amendment Act 2025.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to give notice that at the next meeting of the House, I will move. Be it resolved, with reference to the resolution approved by this Honourable House on the 20th day of June 2023, appointing a select committee to sit jointly with a similar committee appointed by the House, the Honourable Senate, to examine and consider Ministry Paper 69/2023, dated June 20, 2023, Job Description of Ministers of Government, Green Paper 03/2023, dated June 20, 2023, Job Descriptions for Members of Parliament of Jamaica, and Codes of Conduct for Parliamentarians, that the committee be allowed to hold hybrid meetings that are partly virtual and partly physical, utilizing available information and communication technologies in the manner more specifically outlined below. Preserving the rights, powers, and privileges, including voting rights normally accorded to a member of a committee. The committee is hereby empowered to 1. Convene and hold meetings in virtual spaces created using information and communication technologies which shall be considered committee meetings for the purpose of the mandate of the committee. 2. To allow access and participation from remote locations as are enabled by means of information and virtual technologies by members and other persons authorized by the committee. 3. To include members accessing and participating from remote locations as a part of its quorum. 4. To receive, consider, deliberate on, and respond to feedback and submissions in formats, modes, and media, and via platforms, modes, and media enabled by means of information and communication technologies from any person. And 5thly, to consider any and all information generated, communicated, and received via formats, platforms, modes, or media as enabled by means of information and communication technologies as forming a part of the record of the committee meetings. Mr. Speaker, I further beg to give notice that at a later stage today, I will move for the suspension of the standing orders to enable me to take the motion.
Question and answers to questions. Motion that may be made at the commencement of public business requiring notices. Motion relating to the sitting of the House. Motion for leave to introduce bills. Presentation of bills without leave of the House first obtained.
Mr. Speaker, I now move to introduce and have read a first time a bill shortly entitled the Pensions Public Service Amendment and Validation Act 2025.
A bill shortly entitled the Pensions Public Service Amendment and Validation Act 2025, read a first time.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to give notice of second reading of the bill. Mr. Speaker, I further beg to give notice that at a later stage today, I will move for the suspension of the standing orders to enable me to take a second reading of the bill and to take it through all its concluding stages.
Mr. Speaker, I now move that a bill shortly entitled the Criminal Records Rehabilitation of Offenders Amendment Act 2025 be read the first time.
A bill shortly entitled the Criminal Records Rehabilitation of Offenders Amendment Act 2025 read a first time.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to give notice of second reading of the bill.
Public business.
Mr. Speaker, the matters to be dealt with on public business, of course, will move in relation to the motions as laid by the members who have presented. In addition, we will have the conclusion of the debate on the LSSP, the LPPIA, yes. And of course, we will conclude the debate on the Pensions Act as well. Mr. Speaker, I now move for the suspension of the standing orders to enable me to take the motion, notice of which I gave earlier, in relation to the permission for a committee to meet and deliberate virtually and physically.
The question is that the standing order be suspended to enable the minister to take the motion, notice of which he gave earlier. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it.
I now move for the motion, notice of which I gave earlier, to be approved.
The question is that the motion, notice of which the minister gave earlier, be approved. Those in favor? Those against? Ayes have it.
Mr. Speaker, I now move for the suspension of the standing orders to enable me to take the motion, notice of which I gave earlier.
The question is that the standing order be suspended to enable the minister to take the motion. The member. To take the motion, notice of which he gave earlier. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it.
Mr. Speaker, I now move that the motion, notice of which I gave earlier, be approved.
Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it.
Mr. Speaker, I now move for the suspension of the standing orders to enable me to take a second reading of a bill shortly entitled the Pensions Public Service Amendment and Validation Act 2025 and to take it through all its concluding stages.
The question is that the standing order be suspended to enable the minister to take a second reading of the bill shortly entitled the Pension Public Service Amendment and Validation Act 2025 and also for her to take it through all its concluding stage. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it.
Pardon?
It's there. Yeah, it was distributed. It's in, yeah. Everything's there.
Minister.
Sure. Mr. Speaker, this Honourable House is being invited to consider a bill entitled An Act to Amend the Pensions Public Service Act. Mr. Speaker, the bill entitled An Act to Amend the Pensions Public Service Act seeks to allow existing officers born during the period August 1, 1961 and February 28, 1963, the option to retire before attaining the normal retirement age of 65 years under the conditions of normal retirement, and to validate and confirm as lawful all the actions and omissions made by any person in relation to the grant of normal retirement of public officers during the period April 1, 2018 to the commencement of this Amendment Act. Mr. Speaker, in 2011, the Government of Jamaica tabled Green Paper number 2/2011 entitled Options for Reform of the Public Sector Pension System. This paper proposed several measures to reform the pension arrangement for public officers, including increasing the normal retirement age from 60 to 65. As part of the policy development process, stakeholder consultations were held and a joint select committee was convened in 2012 to discuss the proposed reforms. While staff associations and collective bargaining units representing public officers did not object to increasing the retirement age, they expressed concerns about the adverse implications of immediate implementation. The government, in response, indicated that they would adopt a phased approach with a transitional period of 10 years. This was to facilitate a smooth transition for public officers who would have attained from 55 years up to 60 years as at April 1, 2018, and would have been preparing for retirement at age 60 years. On April 1, 2018, the Pensions Public Service Act 2017, the Act, came into effect. The definition of normal retirement age in Section 2 and Section 14 of the Act introduced a new retirement age requirement. Pursuant to the first schedule of the Act, the retirement age gradually increased from 60 to 65 during the period April 1, 2018 to April 1, 2023. The Governor General, acting on the advice of the Public Service Commission and permanent secretaries and other designated persons, acting pursuant to relevant delegation of functions orders issued by the Governor General under Section 127 of the Constitution, approved the retirement of public officers under the Act from April 1, 2018. In developing the policy, a schedule, the policy schedule, was developed to enable the retirement of public officers during the transition period. That was the policy of the government, namely the 10-year transition period. Since 2018, this policy schedule has been used by the Governor General, acting on the advice of the Public Services Commission, and by any public officer acting under a delegation of functions order issued by the Governor General under Section 127 of the Constitution to approve the retirement of public officers born between April 1958 and August 1961. The policy schedule is issued by the Office of the Services Commission annually through a circular. The circular provides the retirement dates of public officers with respect to their dates of birth during the transitional period. However, while the policy schedule reflects a 10-year transition period, it does not reflect the 5-year transition period that is in the Act and is inconsistent with the first schedule to the Act. Since the Act provides that public officers retire at age 65 from April 2023, it is proposed to amend the Act to give public officers born between August 1, 1961 and February 28, 1963, the option to elect to retire before reaching the normal retirement age of 65 and to be given the full benefits. This will not be considered or fall in the category of early retirement. This will be treated in the same manner as normal retirement and will give effect to the policy intent. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Minister, can you confirm whether there are public officers who have retired, or let me rephrase it, who have been forced to retire before the age of 65? And there were some, yes, there were some cases in the Ministry of Education, some teachers who were told that they had to retire prior to reaching 65. Whether those teachers or public officers, and there may be others, have been allowed to continue their service, and whether, that's one question, and secondly, whether there are any public officers who have retired before 65 and are not in receipt of the pension benefits that would be due to them.
So, member, I think you're asking, are there persons who retired? Well, let me say that if there are persons who retired and they are on their retirement leave currently, they have the option of returning to employment. So anyone who is on retirement leave and retirement is not yet effective can opt to return to work.
The matter came up in the public domain about 2-3 months ago, where there was a directive from the Ministry of Education. It affected a number of teachers who were told it wasn't a voluntary action on their part, that they had to retire even though they had not reached the age of 65. I don't have a specific number as to how many were affected. I'm very aware that the JTA raised an alarm. In fact, I think they threatened legal action in relation to it. And so my question really is not those people who are on retirement leave, but there are some persons who, whether inadvertently, whether by bad advice, were told they had to retire. Those are really the ones I'm concerned about. And I don't know how widespread it is, if it's simply related to isolated cases at the Ministry of Education or it goes beyond. That's really my first question. And then my second, which is a separate one, relates to persons who may have opted now voluntarily prior to 65, but they are not getting the benefits, and whether this legislation now would provide them with that. Huh? Sorry. If they opted to retire prior to 65, prior to. So that's my question.
This issue with regards to persons going off before 65, I believe, if my memory serves me right, only came to our attention recently. It was not something I know of that had been going on for a while. So any person who went off recently would still be on their retirement leave. And so those persons for whom their retirement has not yet taken effect because they're on retirement leave can opt to return. It's their option whether or not they return to work or not. Mr. Speaker, I wish to conclude the debate on the bill and then ask that it be read a second time.
The question is that the bill be read a second time. Those in favor? Those against? Ayes have it.
A bill entitled An Act to Amend the Pensions Public Service Act to provide public officers who were born between August 1st, 1961 and February 28, 1963, the option to retire before they attain the age of 65 years and to receive any pension, gratuity, or other allowance due and payable to them, and to validate and confirm as lawful all actions taken or omissions made by any person in relation to the granting of normal retirement during the period commencing the 1st of April 2018 and ending on the date of operation of this Act, and for connected matters read a second time.
The House will now resolve itself into a committee of the whole House to consider the bill clause by clause. I put clause 1. Those in favor? Those against, the ayes have it. Put clause 2. Those in favor? Those against, the ayes have it. I put clause 3. Those in favor? Those against, the ayes have it. I put the title enacting clause. Those in favor? Those against, the ayes have it. The question is that I do report the bill as having passed committee stage without amendment or without amendments. Those in favor? Those against, the ayes have it. I do report the bill as having passed committee stage without any amendment. Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I now ask that the bill be read a third time.
The question is that the bill be now read a third time. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it.
A bill entitled An Act to Amend the Pensions Public Service Act to provide public officers who were born between August 1st, 1961 and February 28, 1963, the option to retire before they attain the age of 65 years and to receive any pension, gratuity, or other allowance due and payable to them, and to validate and confirm as lawful all actions taken or omissions made by any person in relation to the granting of normal retirement during the period commencing April 1st, 2018 and ending on the date of operations of this Act, and for connected matters, read a third time and pass.
House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, today we resume the debate on the Large-Scale Projects and Pioneer Industries Tax Relief Act, which commenced on the 29th day of April 2025. Mr. Speaker, I now ask that you invite the Minister to continue and conclude the debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a couple of questions for the Minister in relation to the bill. When your predecessor began discussion on it, there was a contemplation of a threshold by which projects would qualify, and your predecessor spoke about a $1 billion investment value. I noticed there's no specific figure in the legislation, and so my first question is there a particular threshold by which projects would have to meet to qualify, or is there some discretion there for the minister to determine whether those projects qualify? The second question relates to the composition of the committee that will assess and adjudicate these projects. I have a concern about how the committee would work, whether there would be full-time secretariat support provided to the committee, because I anticipate that the assessment of these projects will be a very time-consuming exercise. The persons who are going to form the committee itself are going to be persons who will have full-time jobs otherwise. And so to not have a bottleneck in this process of assessing projects, it would need somewhat of a secretariat or some kind of full-time assistance to the committee. And so I wanted your answer to how that committee would operate. And I say that within the context of when I think of the public investment management system right now and how long it takes for projects to go through that. And I envision that the projects that we're dealing with, the size and the complexity of these projects, it may take a significantly long time. And it's unlikely that the projects are going to go ahead until there is approval provided by the committee itself. So the committee itself becomes almost the most critical element in determining how quickly we can approve these projects. So how it is structured and how it operates is important. My third question and really comment in relation to the committee is that I noticed there's no representative from the Attorney General's Department, and I wondered whether that was oversight or deliberate omission, but I would certainly recommend that you would need someone with legal training and a background to sit on a committee of that nature, given the complexity of the issues that will come before the committee. The legislation speaks to tax relief of no more than 0.25% of 1% of GDP in any fiscal year. And based on, if I use 2024 numbers, we're talking about roughly 50 million US or 7.5 billion Jamaican that the minister would have the discretion to apply. Now, my question in relation to that is whether that is a figure for the totality of projects that may be submitted to this committee, whether it relates to a single project, the threshold, and also whether the type of relief, the type of tax relief, is something which is within the discretion of the minister to provide. And so that relief can range from GCT, corporate income tax. So I would want to hear from you what is envisioned, even though it's not stipulated in the legislation, of the type of tax relief that the government is contemplating for these large-scale type projects. So those are my questions, Minister.
Thank you, Member. With regards to your first question, the threshold is $1 billion US. Yes, it's definitely it's in the legislation. Yeah, it's there, it's there, it's there. Leroy. No, it's in the act. It's in the bill. With regards to your second question, the committee to assess and adjudicate. Yes, I agree that these projects are going to be sophisticated and require a skill set that may sometimes not be resident in the ministry. The procedure has been for these types of situations to go through a procurement for the necessary skill sets that we need, and that entity would do the assessment and present it. And I've seen, the back and forth that goes on between the ministry personnel and the entity brought on board to help to assess and adjudicate those deals. In terms of your third question, with regards to the AG, of course the Attorney General's Chamber would be very much involved. Questions, if there are questions to be answered. Right, so the committee will be managed by the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service with support from TAJ, so the Secretariat can be determined as required. With regards to your fourth question, the legislation speaks to 0.25% of GDP in any fiscal year. That's for all projects for the financial year. The legislation gives scope for the minister to give exemption, and that would deal with your fifth question in terms of the type of tax relief, but some of those are spelled out in the legislation. In particular, the projects have to come and would be producing a certain level of employment and so on in order to be eligible for the kind of tax relief that would be given.
Before you finish, note 4 that the minister can see the exact amount. 4.4. But I think 4.4. I think it's in the regulation.
It's in the regulation.
You could be right.
Right, and we have the regulation. The regulation accompanies the bill.
So you don't have the regulations here?
Yeah, but no, we have the regulations.
Mr. Collins, you have the regulations here?
And then going back to your question about the committee, we will also get assistance, legal assistance from TAJ. TAJ has quite a legal team there, and any other expertise that we need, we can pull from other entities. But as I've said before, we usually go through a formal procurement process to bring on board the expertise that's needed for these large deals.
The $1 billion is in the regulation.
It's in the regulation. Yeah. All right. It's at the $1 billion. The threshold is at Regulation 3. Regulation 3. Yeah.
So, yeah, that was going to be my question. The extent to which discretion exists with the minister and how far that discretion can go. So, for example, if something comes in at 700 or 800 million, and it's a good project, it meets the other criteria, but it doesn't hit the 1 billion target, does the minister have that discretion to put that project forward? I'm saying, if something comes up with an investment value of, let's say, 800 million, but it meets the other threshold in terms of employment, strategic importance, is there discretion on the minister's part to say, we are going to put this project forward, even though it doesn't hit the $1 billion? It does. All right, well, that's the first question. Then my second question, based on your answer about the functioning of the committee, you're saying the technical expertise will be procured, and so whoever puts in a bid wins that company would then interface with the committee itself. So the committee that is formed, it is not envisioned that they are going to do the heavy lifting technical work. That's in essence what you are saying. The entity that is being procured will do the detailed analysis and in essence present to the committee its findings, and then the committee does an assessment and makes a recommendation to the minister. I would, while you have, you have listed a number of the entities, TAJ, Customs, JAMPRO, PIOJ. I don't know why you wouldn't include the AG's department. So you don't want them on your committee then?
No, because then they will be ex officio, but at the end of the day, they have to approve it. Right. So it might make sense for the committee to meet, and then it goes to the AG. All right, so proceed. Committee, please.
Mr. Speaker, I now ask that the debate be concluded on the bill and ask that the bill be read a second time.
The question is that the bill be read a second time. Those in favor? Aye. Those against, the ayes have it.
An act to make provision for the designation of projects as approved large-scale projects or economic activities as approved pioneer industries, to provide tax relief in relation to projects and activities so designated, to operationalize the tax incentive for large-scale projects and pioneer industries, to establish an application and management committee as part of the process of approving participants of large-scale projects and pioneer industries, to repeal and replace Income Tax Relief, Large-Scale Projects and Pioneer Industries Act 2013, and to provide for connected matters read a second time.
The House will now resolve itself into a committee of the whole House to consider the bill clause by clause. I put clause 1. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? Ayes have it. I put clause 2. I put clause 1, 2, 20, 24. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? Ayes have it. I put the schedule in. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? Ayes have it. I put the title enacting clause. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? Ayes have it. The question is that I do report the bill as having passed committee stage without an amendment. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? Ayes have it. I do report the bill as having passed committee stage without amendment.
Speaker, I now ask that the bill be read a third time.
The question is that the bill be read a third time. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it.
An act to make provision for the designation of projects as approved large-scale projects or economic activities as approved pioneer industries, to provide tax relief in relation to projects and activities so designated, to operationalize the tax incentives for large-scale projects and pioneer industries, to establish an application and management committee as part of the process of approving participants of large-scale projects and pioneer industries, to repeal and replace the Income Tax Relief Large-Scale Projects and Pioneers Industries Act 2013, and to provide for connected matters read a third time and passed.
House Leader.
21, I think. Okay. Mr. Speaker, it is not intended to do any further business today. I therefore move that the House be adjourned until Tuesday, May 13 at 2 p.m. at the George William Gordon House. May it please you, Mr. Speaker.
The request is that the House now stand adjourned until the 13th of May at 2 p.m. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? Ayes have it. This House now stands adjourned.